It all began on an ordinary afternoon, but it unfolded into a story that would forever change how one family saw love, sacrifice, and the meaning of dignity. In the quiet heart of the city, where the streets buzzed with life and the air was filled with the sounds of opportunity, a young woman stood in a small, dimly lit salon with a pair of scissors trembling in her hands. She had no idea that what she was doing would soon make a millionaire's mother fall to her knees in desperation. And when the son arrived, the look on his face would turn everything upside down. This wasn't just about a haircut, it was about pride, fear, and the fragile line between protecting someone's image and protecting their soul. If this story touches your heart at any moment, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Kindness Corner. Every click helps us spread more real, emotional stories to the world. The story began with Aisha, a soft-spoken woman in her late 20s who worked as a hairstylist in a modest part of town. She wasn't born into wealth or luxury, but she carried herself with grace, her hands steady from years of shaping strands into beauty. Her dream wasn't money or fame, it was to make people feel confident, to restore dignity to those who walked into her shop broken, weary, or hiding from the world. Aisha's salon was small, the paint on the walls slightly peeling, but inside it was a sanctuary. She treated every client as if they were the most important person alive. One day, she was asked to come to a private mansion on the outskirts of the city. The invitation came quietly, through a family driver who had entered her salon discreetly and handed her a card with the family's crest embossed in gold. At first, she thought it was a mistake. Aisha had no connection to the wealthy elite. But curiosity and professionalism made her accept. She packed her tools, smoothed her scarf, and prepared herself for whatever awaited. When she arrived at the gates of the mansion, she was stunned by its sheer size. The walls stretched endlessly, the iron gates towering above her as though guarding not just wealth but secrets. The driver led her inside, where marble floors gleamed under chandeliers, and portraits of ancestors lined the walls. At the center of it all sat an elderly woman, frail but commanding, with eyes that carried both warmth and storm. This was Mrs. Rahman, mother of one of the most successful young millionaires in the city, a man known for his booming businesses, charitable foundations, and flawless public image. Mrs. Rahman greeted Aisha with trembling hands. She explained softly, almost in whispers, that she needed a haircut, something simple but neat, because the years had weighed heavily on her. She admitted she hadn't trusted anyone in a long time, but something about Aisha's reputation for kindness had convinced her. Aisha smiled and agreed, unfolding her kit carefully, brushing through the woman's thinning silver strands with the gentleness of a daughter tending to her mother. But halfway through the process, something shifted. Mrs. Rahman began to grow anxious. Her breathing quickened, her hands shook, and finally, she grabbed Aisha's wrist with surprising strength for someone so frail. "Stop," she pleaded, her voice breaking. "Please, stop cutting." Aisha froze, confused and worried. She looked into the older woman's eyes and saw not anger, but desperation, an almost childlike fear. The scissors hung in the air, their sharp edge gleaming against the light, as silence filled the vast room. Before Aisha could ask why, the sound of hurried footsteps echoed down the marble hall. The doors burst open, and in walked the son, tall, commanding, dressed in an expensive suit that spoke of power. But his expression shattered the image of control. His eyes widened in shock at the scene before him, his mother clutching the stylist's hand, the unfinished haircut, the scissors hovering dangerously close to his mother's fragile locks. He rushed forward, his voice trembling, demanding to know what was happening. For a moment, the air was heavy with tension, as though the truth about to unfold would redefine everything. The truth came slowly, painfully. Mrs. Rahman broke down, confessing that every strand of her hair was tied to memories of her late husband, the man who had once run his fingers through her hair during their long evenings together, whispering love and comfort. Cutting it felt like cutting away the last pieces of him. She had asked for the haircut not because she wanted it, but because she thought she was becoming a burden, too frail, too unkempt, too much of a shadow for her powerful son's polished life. She didn't want to embarrass him in public gatherings with her fragile appearance. But the moment the scissors touched her, the weight of loss became unbearable. Her son fell silent, guilt washing over his face. All the success, the millions in his accounts, the applause of the world, none of it had shielded him from the pain of realizing how lonely and insecure his mother had become under his watch. He had been so busy building an empire that he hadn't noticed the small battles she fought alone. In that moment, Aisha gently placed the scissors down, her own eyes brimming with tears. She reassured Mrs. Rahman that beauty wasn't in the length of her hair, but in the strength of her heart, in the wisdom of her years, and in the love she still carried for her late husband and her son. The millionaire, moved by both his mother's confession and Aisha's compassion, held his mother's hands and vowed never to let her feel forgotten again. From that day forward, everything changed. The millionaire began making space for his mother in his life, not as a shadow he had to protect but as the foundation of his strength. He brought her with him to charity events, proudly introducing her as the woman who had taught him resilience. The media captured her smile, her elegance, her grace, and soon people admired not just the son, but the mother who had raised him. Aisha, too, found her life transformed. The millionaire didn't just thank her, he supported her dream of expanding her salon. With his help, she built a bigger space where women from all walks of life could come, not just for beauty, but for healing. She dedicated a section of the salon to cancer survivors, widows, and elderly women who needed someone to remind them of their worth. And every time Mrs. Rahman visited, she sat proudly, not to lose her hair but to share her story, teaching younger women that love, memory, and dignity were treasures no scissors could ever cut away. In the end, what began as a trembling moment with a pair of scissors turned into a lesson on love's endurance. A son learned to look beyond success to the heart of the woman who had given him life. A mother discovered she was more than her grief, more than her aging reflection. And a young stylist proved that kindness, not wealth, is what truly restores dignity. So, if this story has moved you, we'd love for you to share your thoughts. Comment below with one word that describes how this story made you feel. Your voice might inspire someone else who needs hope today. And don't forget to stay connected with Kindness Corner for more stories that remind us of the power of love, family, and compassion.